Welcome, my name is Stacy Larson and we are here in the demonstration kitchen at the Maitland Public Library. We are now into my very favorite season, which is fall. And the thing I love about fall is the cool, crisp weather, which now we're into November, we're finally getting here in Central Florida. I love fall because I love the smells, the air, and I love baking. It gives me great comfort. My favorite flavor is pumpkin. So today we're gonna make a quick and easy little pumpkin donut bite. It's kind of like what you might get at a donut shop, but these are gonna be baked, not fried. So just a little bit healthier for you, though still not too much. So let's get started. So first thing we're gonna do is we're going to take our flour, which this is a 1 3/4 cups of flour, and we're gonna sift it. If you haven't got a sifter, you can use just a basic strainer with the mesh at the bottom. This is my favorite kind of sifter. They make some that are more mechanical, but the more parts that move, the more parts you have that can break. So this one's quick and easy. It's super cheap. You can get them everywhere. They look just like the one your grandmother had. All right, so we're just gonna crank this one and sift our flour. The beauty of this sifter is it's just a piece of metal running across a mesh. There are no real moving parts that are gonna break. And as long as you only ever use it for flour, you never really have to wash it. You just wipe it down with a towel. If you do wash it, make sure you let it dry because they will rust. Nobody wants that. All right, so to our flour, we are going to add now 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We have, let me move my recipe just a little closer. Pumpkin pie spice. Now, you can buy pumpkin pie spice already made, or you can make it yourself. I don't like to have things that only have one job in my kitchen, so I did make it myself. If you do, it's just a blend of cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and cloves. And you can find all kinds of recipes for that on the web. So for this, we need 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. And then we also need just a little bit more nutmeg. So we're gonna add a 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. We're gonna stir these dry ingredients together and then just set them aside while we work with the wet things. On to the wet things. I promise, this really is just the season. So we're going to use pumpkin puree. Make sure you don't get pumpkin pie filling, but you actually get 100% pumpkin puree. This recipe calls for 1/2 can of the pumpkin puree. So there's no reason you can't double it. If you can't eat a whole batch or 2 batches of this at one time, these do freeze really well. Just lay them out on a cookie sheet in your freezer, let them freeze. Then when they're solid, put them in a zippy bag and you can eat them throughout the winter. All right, so that's our pumpkin puree. Now we need to add a 1/2 cup of brown sugar right to the pumpkin. Gonna mix those up together. Those so you can see. I mean, it's orange and sweet at this point, which is perfect. All right, to this, we are now going to add 1/3 cup of vegetable oil. 1/3 cup of vegetable oil. In this case, I'm using canola, but you can use really any oil that you want. You know, vegetable oil is a blend of different kinds. Oh, this one is vegetable, it's not canola. There's my vegetable oil. To this, we're also going to add 1 egg. And if you ever seen me cook before, you know that I'm not really good about remembering the eggs. If you leave them out of chocolate chip cookies, they will taste like peanut butter cookies. If you leave them out of blueberry muffins, your blueberry muffins will not rise. If you leave them out of your fried eggplant, a little bit of water will help your batter stick. It's not perfect, but it'll do. All right, so that's our, we now need a teaspoon of vanilla, which I've already measured here. and a half a cup of milk. All right, so all of our wet ingredients are blended. They're pretty smooth. Everything looks good. So we can add in the dry ingredients now. It's easiest if you don't add everything dry all at one time, and you just add about half of it, stir, and then add in the other half. That way you can make sure you get a really good mix. Go ahead and dump in the rest. Now it's got a little more flour. It's getting just a little bit stiffer. So might have to work a little harder, but not too bad. All right, so once you've got all of your flour incorporated into your pumpkin and you've got the biggest lumps all worked out, now we're ready to scoop it into our muffin tin. Now, these are called donut holes, but really let's just call them pumpkin bites because they're not going to be round like a donut hole. We're going to bake them into some mini muffin pans. These have already been sprayed generously with some cooking oil. And so we're just going to fill each muffin tub here about 3/4 of the way full. There's one that could use a little topping off. All right, so we're just going to pop these guys in the oven for 10 to 12 minutes on 350 degrees. While they bake, we'll get started with the topping. So these are going to be rolled into cinnamon sugar. So the first thing we need to do is melt just a stick of butter here in my pan. All right, so our pumpkin bites have been in the oven about 12 minutes, so let's take them out and we'll check to see if they're done. The easy way to find out if they're done is to stick a toothpick in, and if raw batter sticks to the toothpick on the way out, throw them back in for another minute. So let's take a look. My toothpicks here. All right, one sample muffin comes out clean. Yep. All right, so that toothpick came out clean, so we'll call these guys done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work with them hot, so we don't want them to cool off too much, but we do want them to cool off enough we don't burn our hands. So let's get ready to do our coating. So we've melted a stick of butter. It's just over low heat on the stove top, just one stick of butter. We're going to put that in one bowl. And in the other, we're going to mix 2/3 of a cup of granulated sugar and a tablespoon of cinnamon. My little cooling rack here. All right, so they cool off actually pretty quickly to be cool enough to handle. Now the easiest thing to do so that you don't get big gloppy cinnamon hands is to keep a wet hand and a dry hand. So I'm gonna go left to right. So I'm gonna keep the left hand wet and the right hand dry. It means I'm gonna put the muffin in with my left hand into the butter and then toss it into the right. Sprinkle my cinnamon and sugar on here. Get a good coating. And there we go. Like I said, at this point, this is when you would be ready to freeze them after you've got the cinnamon sugar on. Just let them cool, put them in the freezer flat. Don't put them in a bag to start with. That way they will freeze separately. If you stick them in the bag to begin with, you'll get one frozen block of pumpkin. Now this is a great thing to do if you have got small kids. Let them do this because it's really nothing better than a bowl of sugar that you get to run your hands through. Of course, you'll get to lick your fingers after. So if this is your first time watching a cooking video here, you may be surprised that we have a demonstration kitchen. We've had it actually now about 3 years. It was a grant from the Winter Park Health Foundation, and we're very glad to have it. We offer lots of cooking classes on various cultural kinds of food, but also healthy kinds of food, and occasionally just delicious, fun things. This, I think, qualifies as a delicious, fun thing. So right now, the library is open for express service, so we're not offering any actual classes right now, but we are doing lots of cooking videos. So take a look at our YouTube channel and you'll find lots of other videos there. We've been doing cooking demos actually ever since the library closed in March for coronavirus. We've been doing video cooking demos. So there's lots of interesting things there, and I encourage you to take a look. All right, we're a little more than halfway through coating this batch of pumpkin bites. All right, so that are our quick and easy pumpkin bites, and they smell delicious. So, and they really are delicious. So I encourage you to give them a whirl. We'll put the recipe in the comments, and thank you for joining us in our cooking demonstration.